All right, everyone. Well, it's 6:30. Thank you, everyone. I'd like to call to order the West End Neighborhood Council meeting on May 19th, 2021 at 6:30 p.m. Just to welcome our West End Neighborhood Council, our liaisons, our West Enders. Let's see who's in our attendance for our meeting tonight from our board. It's myself, Liz Whitefield. I see Brian DePew. I know Sean Phelps is going to join us tonight. And I saw Destiny Logan pop in. Hi, Destiny. We have an excused absence tonight for Jean Kelly and Sherry Soline. So moving on, I'd like to make a motion to accept the April WENC meeting minutes, the agenda for tonight, and also the add new items. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Brian. Anybody opposed? Great. So the motion has been accepted. Thank you so much, Brian. Okay, on that note, let's move on to the treasurer's report from Brian.
Good evening, everybody. So as of last meeting, our balance was $3,979.62. In the ensuing month, or a little less than a month, we've had a credit of 8 cents interest and 2 charges, $10 bank fee and $26 to pay for the checks that we ordered. So that leaves us a balance of $3,943.70. Of that balance, $2,904.29 are West End Neighborhood Council funds, and $1,039.41 are letter-free 253 funds.
Great, wonderful. Well, thank you so much for that, Brian. Moving on to new business, I'd like to call for our liaisons from our updates from the City of Tacoma. As I was trying to write them on as you guys were, or you all were logging on, so I saw that Tony Pace with TPS logged on first. Tony, do you mind giving us an update?
Certainly. Good evening, everyone. I have an update for some of our construction sites in the West End that I'd give you a little information regarding that. For Skyline Elementary School, Turner construction crew will work at the Skyline site from 7 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. Monday through Friday, starting in May. They'll start with soil remediation, rough grading, and downspout testing in preparation for demolition of the fields and grounds. To accommodate the construction work, Skyline's track and fields are closed for public use for the duration of the project. Sidewalk improvements to the north side of Northeast 23rd from Basalt to Whitman Street took place April 28th in preparation for construction trucks to be on site. And they hosted, TPS hosted Skyline's first virtual neighborhood meeting about the construction. Turner Construction and SRG partnerships shared information about the construction schedule, noise, traffic, and other impacts to the neighborhood. There's an FAQ that can be found on the Skyline construction website about the construction plans if you want to check more for more information. For Downing Elementary School, Corsmo, I think that's how you say it, Corsmo construction trailers are now on site at Downing. Crew will work again from 7 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. Monday through Friday. Demolition and abatement of the Boys and Girls Club building is underway. Corsmos Construction and TCF Architecture shared details about the construction plans and neighborhood and impacts on the neighborhood at a virtual community meeting in April. And there's also an FAQ about construction plans, which can be found on the Downing construction website. The last update I have is Hunt Middle School. At Hunt, work on building fixtures and finishes within the building is progressing towards completion. Flooring has arrived in several areas throughout the school. Workers will install nonstop flooring in the kitchen, culinary arts classrooms, and locker rooms, and they'll prepare for installing the wood floor in the gym as well. New gym basketball hoops and game clocks are installed. Electrical controls and lighting work continue in the stage and music areas while the electrical work wraps up in the locker rooms. Outside, you can see the new basketball hoops at the covered play area, street improvements, including extending sidewalks, curb and gutters along Basalt continue. The intersections at Mildred South 8th and 10th Streets receive light poles as well. And that kind of concludes my update on those 3 construction sites in the West End. Is there any
Wonderful.
questions?
Anyone, any questions for Tony? No, well, Tony, I live right by Skyline Elementary and I see all the work that's being done and it's moving right along and lots of nice signage out. I know that there's a cute little construction peephole basically, and the kids love to look through that, and it's very nice. And it's also nice how all the information's listed, safety, all that. So I can see that, you know, it's a priority for all the information to be listed. And so it's nice. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, now it looks like Anna Bra with TPD logged on right after Tony. So Anna, would you mind presenting for the police department?
You bet. How's everybody doing tonight? Hello. So first off, racing is still a huge issue in the city, county, and all over the place. We're very aware of the concern. We're still having set missions every weekend. Officers are coming in and specifically trying to track down racers, and there's also a new ordinance on the book to assist with that. So that's been pretty helpful. We've been impounding cars when we can because that's what hurts the most. And so hopefully that will deter them from continuing their antics. Also, another concern obviously is catalytic converter thefts. We do now have a specific detective assigned to these thefts and to investigate these, working with the scrappers, kind of thing. I have a flyer that I can send to either Liz or Sherry, and they can disperse to everyone, and kind of with some just helpful tips on how to keep your car safe, which includes possibly having your VIN number etched onto your catalytic converter if possible, and setting your alarm up so it's more sensitive and that kind of thing. Kind of a little bit on the outside of the West End is around 6th and Mildred, and just a little bit south of, I've had some concerns of vehicle prowls, drug usage, and drug concerns. And I was able to narrow it down to specifically one vehicle and one person who was bringing in a lot of the traffic. I was able to finally impound his car today, because I found out he wasn't actually living in it. And so hopefully now that his car's not there, he leaves the area and finds somewhere new to go. So little things at a time, we're trying our best with what we have. So we're working, we're trying.
Great. Well, thank you. That's thank you. I know that car racing is just out of control. So it's nice to hear that the police is taking care of it. Anyone have any questions for Anna? I know Kim Vasic, our vice chair, she's trying to log on right now. I'm sorry, I'm kind of distracted trying to get her set, but I think she had some questions for you, Anna. So once she logs on, I might call on you again if that opportunity arises.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. And now Leslie with the port.
Unmute. Hi, thanks. Just a couple things real quick. As the world is sort of getting back to normal, we hope, we are scheduling to do our usual parade of farmers markets through Pierce County, so we're hoping to see you all at one of those. We're going to try and start those in June. We're going to try and revamp getting our bus tours back up and running. I scheduled the first one for the end of July, assuming we can still do that. And then our annual boat tours that we do every summer is scheduled for August 28th on the Big Argosy cruise ship. We may have to do it with reduced passenger numbers, depending on what the restrictions are at that time. But mark your date for August 29th, 28th, which is Saturday. And there'll also be a maritime, it's not Maritime Fest this year, I forget what they're calling it, but they're doing a maritime weekend event down at the Seaport Museum where we leave with the boat. So if you haven't done the boat tour before, it's super fun and it's free. So you should come. It's really fun. And again, I feel like normalcy is starting to set in a little bit. All these fun things that we normally get to do where we can get out and actually see the community. So mark those dates down and hopefully we can see you on a tour.
That's great. That's great news. Yeah, that it is. It's pretty amazing that things are starting to open up, and it kind of feels like not okay, but we're moving
Right.
forth with it. So I hear you, Leslie. And thank you for that great update. The boat tour sounds like a lot of fun. All right, let's see. Oh, does anyone have any questions for Leslie? I'm sorry. I
Can
don't.
you repeat the date again of the boat tour? I'm sorry.
So I'll give you both because I have actually scheduled both. So the bus tour of the port. So basically they're kind of the same tour. We narrate a tour, but one's from the water and one's from the land side. So the bus tour is July 29th at 1 o'clock, which is a Thursday. So it's kind of a weekday thing. And then the boat tour is on August 28th, which is a Saturday. We normally do 6 tours that day. We normally take about 1,200 people out, and just a 1-hour tour on the water and then come back and pick up another group. Again, I don't know what that's going to look like. If there's some more downtime to clean the boat after each one, I'm not sure what that's going to look like. But anyway, on the 28th, we're hoping we take some people out on some boats.
Great. Well, thanks again, Leslie. Let's see. Eric with Safe Streets. We're so happy you're here. Eric, would you mind giving us an update?
Yeah, absolutely. So for anyone that doesn't know me, my name is Eric Casted. I'm a community mobilizer with Safe Streets, and I apologize for not being here more often. This happens to be a very popular meetings night. So I just had a couple announcements. The first is that as some of you may be aware, National Night Out is going to be happening as with every year, the first Tuesday in August. So this year that falls on August 3rd. So registration is currently available on the Safe Streets website, and I'll be able to drop that link in the chat. For anyone that's not familiar, National Night Out is an annual event that happens throughout the country. And what it really is all about is about getting together with your neighbors, getting outside, putting on barbecues, block parties, inviting police, fire, city officials. It's all about building those connections and celebrating those connections that you have with your neighbors and with the partners who are out there to help support you in making positive change in your neighborhoods. So with this year, with the vaccines progressing as they are, it's still a little unclear how exactly it's going to look. That being said, we are working with any neighborhood group, any neighborhood that's interested in putting on an event like this. And so, yeah, we're really, really excited to be able to announce that is going to be happening this year. The other announcement that I have is that I've been working with a couple of new Safe Streets neighborhood groups in the West End. So one is the Claremont neighborhood group, and the other one is the Geiger neighborhood group around the Geiger Montessori. Both groups have been putting in a lot of work. They've been doing cleanups. They participated in Litter Free 253. They've been putting on events like food truck rallies in their neighborhoods, all in an effort to build some connection during COVID. If you or anyone that you know may be interested in getting to know your neighbors a little bit better, putting together better lines of communication, forming a group, or just have any other concerns, challenges, opportunities that you want to work on to make your neighborhood a better place, please reach out to me. I'm always working with new groups and I'd be happy to work with you. I'll also put my contact information in the chat for anyone that'd like to reach out to me later. And that's it.
Wonderful. Thanks again, Eric. Yeah, we were talking at our executive meeting and then also another Litter Free 253 meeting on how we'd like to have a liaison from this neighborhood council, from our board, attend your Safe Streets meeting. So we're a little more congruent with what we're going on, because obviously a lot of our goals and objectives cross over. And so I'm happy to see that there are West End communities involved with Safe Streets now, and obviously the participation in Litter Free 253. So thank you so much. Any questions for Eric? Okay, Thanks again, Eric. Let's see. I think we have Ted Richardson with the city manager's office up next. Ted? Oh, Ted, you're muted.
Hi, everybody. My name is Ted. I work for the city manager's office, City of Tacoma. I had sent Sherry a link to post on the website. It's about foreclosure assistance. And the mayor just announced this last week. If you know anybody who is struggling because of COVID to pay their mortgage, we are offering up to $6,000 in mortgage assistance over 4 payments and foreclosure counseling. So I will put that link in the chat. And if you know anybody who is struggling with this, please do send that on to them. Thank you.
Thanks, Ted. Okay, I think we have John Gaines with TPU.
Yes, I am here. Hello, everyone.
John.
My name is John Gaines with Tacoma Public Utilities. For those of you that don't know me, I have just 3 quick updates. Just want to remind folks that the advanced meter project is underway with installations happening. If you ever have any questions or concerns, I will leave a link in the chat box so you can read up on more information on that. But don't be surprised if you see folks from the utility at or near your home. The second update I want to offer, which I personally have taken advantage, just to remind folks that TPU has a really great rebate program. And so when I come to these meetings, similar to Eric, this is a very popular night for meetings. And so now, especially with things being virtual, I feel like there's so many more meetings to choose from, and a lot of folks want our attention. But when I come, I'm going to try to give just insight on different types of rebates. And so this month I want to talk about water heaters because that is the second highest source of energy use in our homes. And we have a very simple rebate for a hybrid water heater right now. All you have to do is go into your local Lowe's or Home Depot and purchase a hybrid water heater. You don't have to fill out an application, or you don't have to do anything online, and they will automatically give you a $500 rebate on that water.
John, for some reason, your audio got lost.
Can you hear me?
Now I can hear you, yeah.
Okay.
Can you just
So
back
that
up
last,
maybe 20 seconds, the second bullet that you were talking about.
okay. So the second bullet was in regards to our rebate program, and I will continue to share different information on our rebates. But what I'll do, I'll put a link in the chat, which talks specifically about our rebate for water heaters. And all you have to do is go into your local Lowe's or Home Depot, and you will receive a $500 rebate on a hybrid water heater. And the last update I want to share is in regards to the rental assistance program currently through Pierce County. This rental assistance program also has a utility assistance program attached to it for renters. And so if you know people that are renters, or if you're a landlord that has renters that have been unable to pay their utility bill, there's a lot of resources and funding available for those folks. And I'll also put some links in the chat with that information as well. That's my update. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Yeah, that program is so nice. Thank you for offering that, John. Does anyone have any questions for John? Not tonight. Okay. Let's see, who do we have next? I see Britt with Tacoma Audubon. Are you presenting tonight, Britt? Yes.
I am presenting along with Josh Jorgenson from Tacoma Housing Authority and Curtis Asby.
Okay.
So we're kind of taking that over together.
Sure.
So I might throw it to Josh to start us off, if that's okay.
Okay, well, let me go through the liaisons first. I'm sorry, I didn't know
Okay.
and so I was just trying to jot people down as they were coming on. So I appreciate you letting me know that you're with Josh. Thank you, Britt. We'll hear from you a little bit later. Thank you.
Great.
Okay, let's see. I have Whitney with Metro Parks.
Actually, I don't have any updates tonight.
You don't? Okay, that's fine. Thank you for joining tonight anyway, Whitney. Appreciate it. How about Michelle with Tacoma Public Libraries?
Hello, everyone. Swayze Branch is still open for by appointment only, and we still have TPL to go. We are very close to both opening more branches and extending our hours a bit so that it will be more convenient to use the library and so that people can use the computers more effectively. Right now, it's if you can run in and use it real quick, but it's not very convenient. I want to comment too that there's other community things going on since we are opening up more. If there's any kind of outdoor community gatherings that are happening, I would really appreciate it if you could reach out to me. I would love to be there and be able to get people signed up for library cards or just be there to represent the library. Another initiative that we are working on right now, has anybody noticed a little blue van driving around that says the Peace Bus on the side of it? I see it on Pearl and the intersection of 26 from time to time. That is Quabi's Peace Bus, and he's been doing a variety of things around Tacoma for a while. He was getting breakfast cereal to kids that needed it for previously when school was still in. This summer, he's going to actually drive to Washington, D.C. to hopefully meet with the president. And at the library, we're collecting books for him to take with him to distribute along the way. So we would really appreciate it if you could stop by. We have a list of books that he's selected. If you could stop by and pick up some books to donate. And to that end, we'd really appreciate it too if you could visit our local independent booksellers to purchase those books. And I think, does anybody have any questions, comments, anything you would like to see at the library? Please feel free to reach out to me. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Michelle. That's a great update and how wonderful. Yeah, we always, especially with two little kids, we recycle lots of books. So I'll make sure to go through our books. It's a good idea to clean out, right? With spring and everything. Okay, let's see. I think we have Chris Brink with the fire department. Chris, would you mind giving us an update?
Yes, good evening. So this month is Arson Awareness Week. And so just a reminder to keep leaves, firewood, overgrown brush, shrubbery, other combustibles away from your buildings. Keep your doors and windows locked when a building is unoccupied. Make sure that the abandoned buildings are boarded up. And when you use like double cylinder deadbolt locks, if you're familiar with those, keep the key handy so that you can get out. Flammable liquids, paints, gasoline, mowers, try to keep that stuff put away. We've had a rash of fires in the city with the homeless population. Underneath the overpasses, things like that. I know a lot of things have been getting burned and yeah, causing some damage to our streets, actually. Report suspicious activity near houses, other buildings to local police. And if you see any kids setting fires, notify us. We do have some fire stopper programs for kids. Is there any questions?
And now, Chris, would that suspicious activity, would that be a 911 or a 311 call?
311 depends on what's happening. I mean, if it's obviously some fires being lit, probably a 911 call, obviously.
Of course, yeah.
And then you just see some people hanging around, cooking fires seem to be the real common thing right now. And so.
Yeah. Well, good information. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. Did I miss any liaisons that are here tonight that I didn't call on? Walt. Sorry, Walt.
That's okay. Hi, I'm Walt Birdsall with the Tacoma-Pierce County Health Department. I'm here with the health department, but I'm also a citizen of the West End as well. And I just want to remind everyone that things are getting better with COVID, but we are not out of the woods yet. We had 123 reported cases just today with 1 death. So please get vaccinated, or if you have friends or relatives that you could encourage to get vaccinated, and let's keep wearing the masks. We've still got a way to go, and I know we're opening up, and that's exciting. But let's keep it going, and so we can get this over with. I also want to mention that if you want more information about COVID, of course, you could go to the Tacoma-Pierce County Health Department website, and your question will be answered there, I'm sure. I also, I'm involved with the Dirt Alert program. Many of you know that we had a copper smelter in the north end of Tacoma that smelted copper for about 100 years. So there still is arsenic and lead on some of the yards, and many yards, in fact. And we're looking for any place that kids are playing. If you've got kids playing in your yard, we'd like to test your soil or check to see if that soil's been tested and make some recommendations of things that you can do to keep your kids and family safe. So there again, that you could find that information under Dirt Alert on the Tacoma-Pierce County Health Department website. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Walt. I have a question for you. Is there a website that we can check to see, especially for new West End residents, is there a website that we can check to see if our soil or yard has been restored?
Yes, you could go to the Washington State Department of Ecology, has information on that, and it's where you can hover above your house and click on it, and it'll tell you if the soil's been tested, and also give that information. And if that doesn't work, or if you couldn't do that, you could contact us and we can look it up for you too.
Great, thank
Yep.
you very much.
Okay.
Any questions for Walt with the health department?
Yes, Walt, I have a question. Sean Phelps, Secretary of the Board. So the soils, weren't they all tested everywhere within a certain radius of the smelter at one point in time?
Well, not everywhere. I mean, there was a footprint study to find out where the contamination landed, and basically that was because of the prevailing winds that took it over time. So there was, but there's a lot of area there. That was just to kind of establish where that boundary is, and it's not a hardcore, hard fast boundary, obviously, but that was where most of the contamination was found.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Walt? Well, thanks so much for joining us tonight, Walt.
Sure.
Appreciate
Yeah.
it. Did I miss any other liaisons? Doesn't sound like it. Okay, well, thank you all liaisons for joining us tonight. I know, as many mentioned, this is a popular neighborhood council and other meeting night, so we appreciate you being here and providing such valuable information to our community. Thank you so much. Let's see, we are moving on to our guest speakers. So Shirley Shultz is here. She's a senior planner with the City of Tacoma. She presented past couple months for us, and she's debunking a lot of the rumors that have been flying around about the old Kmart on 6th. So Shirley, we're happy to have you tonight presenting. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Actually, I was going to start new rumors because that seemed a lot more fun, but I guess I'll behave myself this evening. Yes, my name is Shirley Shultz. I'm a planner. If you were here a couple months ago, I came with Josh Jorgenson, who's also here tonight, to talk to you about the James Center Master Plan, and was invited to come back and speak with you kind of more in general about some of the planning and proposed developments going on in the West End neighborhood. I was billed as talking about Kmart, so I'll definitely cover that. I also want to say that Sherry's a little bit of trouble for not being here because she sent me a list of what seemed like 1,000 questions. So I'll run through those really quickly. I didn't do anything snazzy, high tech. If you want to see pictures, I can share my screen and show you some pictures or things like that. But also I am available for questions and answers, and I will try to answer whatever I can or get back to you if I can't. So one of the first things that I was asked about was the future of housing in Tacoma. I know you all had a really good presentation last month from Larry Harla, who's in our long range planning division. And actually, probably right at this moment, our planning commission is working on their recommendation for home in Tacoma to go to the city council for their consideration. Briefly, two-phase project, all that's being discussed right now is the policy language that would enable future changes to our land use code on how we deal with residential development, increasing density, adding different choices for people, and working to accommodate the pretty significant growth in population we're expected to see over the next 20 to 40 years. So I can show you where to find more information on that. But I'm guessing that you probably have all found information on that. Secondly, Kmart. I will say that we did have a pre-application meeting with the new owners of the site. It was 2 weeks ago. The way our system works is we have a really robust development services group, and they are really awesome people, and they work with developers who are coming in to talk about feasibility and requirements for their permit. So a lot of times what we get in, and indeed what we got on this time, was 2 steps above the back of a napkin drawing. So what we're aiming for, what are going to be the requirements for development. So I don't have a lot of detail. Basically based on the zoning there, which is general commercial, they're looking at somewhere in the neighborhood, and don't gasp, of a little over 400 apartments. Which is actually, given the target density for that area, on the lower end. The goal is up to 75 units per acre on that 11-acre site. So the drawings that they submitted so far were kind of your basic apartment complex like you see everywhere. Again, back of the napkin calculation, right? There's no detail in there. There's nothing about amenities. It's just really, what would we have to do for the environmental review? Where are our utilities? Do we have to add new streets? And questions like that. So they got their memo back. I don't think they've had their follow-up meeting yet with staff. What I can tell you from the land use and zoning side is there will be an environmental review. Anytime there's more than 20 units, we go through SEPA, which is the State Environmental Policy Act, and do an environmental review. Because they are adjacent to and across the street from residentially zoned property, it will be an extended SEPA, meaning there will be a public notice that goes out 1,000 feet, and there will be a 30-day review and comment period for people as soon as they submit. Now, whether or not there's a public meeting, a lot of it depends on whether or not we're back to having public meetings at that point. They will have to meet all the in-place zoning and design standards at that time. But again, a lot might change between now and when they actually submit for permits. So now you know what I know. And that's all the news for Kmart. There is current, I was also asked about current and future planning for the West End, particularly the business districts. As you know, 6th Avenue west of, surrounding Mildred is a mixed use district. And that's where you're seeing the newest buildings right now. And then the remainder of 6th Avenue is a commercial district, and then peppered up and down, kind of alternating on Pearl, are mixed use districts and commercial districts. There aren't any super huge incoming changes for those mixed use districts that I am aware of. Now, the Long Range Planning Division still does have revisiting our commercial districts on their agenda for the next couple of years. And what that might mean is, do we have more general commercial districts? Do we have fewer? Do we change what's allowed in terms of residential? Do we change the mix of uses and things like that? That will go out broadly for public notice when it does occur. And again, those are the areas that currently have commercial designations. The biggest area would be Highland Hills, and what happens with the grocery store there, or what that gets developed as. There is a 2020 to 2022 work plan for the Long Range Planning Division. I'll put the link to their main page in there. That's also where you're going to find links to the design review program that's underway, and how to get to the home in Tacoma and their current status. Any proposed changes to our comprehensive plan and our zoning regulations this year, all that really good stuff that then sets the stage for development. I was asked about 6th and Rochester townhomes that you know are underway. That is going to be, I think, what did I calculate it as? I think 46 units. So they're the townhouses in the back that are completed. That's the 12 that you see that I believe are already occupied. And then the ones that are under construction. The buildings on the front will be a work-live configuration, meaning they'll have kind of commercial spaces on the front. Part of the reason that now you drive by and you can see that there's big windows and almost a commercial door, that is because you're required to have commercial uses on 6th Avenue. Kitty corner from that, soon you, as the neighborhood council, will be getting notification of the environmental review for a large mixed-use structure. It doesn't have a name yet, but it's between Rochester and, what's the street west? I can't think of the street west, across from the Fusion Cafe. So that whole site, and they are looking at 5 stories of wood over 2 stories of concrete. So, your basic apartment building. And they're looking at about 200 apartment units, 139 parking stalls for those 200 apartment units. And I want to say the entire first floor commercial, or at least the street front. So I think 3 commercial tenant spaces on the street front, with garage entry off of that street to the west that I'm blanking on the name for. So I'm
Howard.
Yeah, I'm totally Howell. Thank you.
Howard.
Like it was in my head 10 minutes ago. I'll answer questions about that for what I know and where they are. And those were the other questions. Anything else on Pearl or anything else on West End? There will be an application or a notice going out soon for a smaller multifamily development at 33rd and Shirley. So the big area kind of between the neighborhood and the Bates Technical Towers. So that they're looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of 50 units, low rise, a mix of 4plexes and a couple like 12 or 14 unit buildings. And that's pretty much I know of. If you're interested, I can show you where you can look at every single permit we've got in our system and find out what's going on. Or really any other questions. I don't want to take up too much time because I want to make sure others have enough time to present, but I'll also put my contact information in the chat.
Thanks so much, Shirley, for that update. Now I know we have questions for you.
I do see questions. So I have one that says traffic from the Kmart site. One of the key things for the environmental review will be their traffic impact analysis. And so I am not the traffic expert, but basically what an applicant does is they have a traffic expert who provide to our traffic experts the kind of the buildings that they're doing and how many units, and then they look at how much traffic that's going to generate, how many trips. 6th Avenue, as you know, is a big and busy street. My guess is that they would want most of the traffic to use the side street, and then whether or not there has to be a signal on 6th or a new pedestrian crossing, or sometimes they have to do timing of a signal. So maybe 6th at Orchard needs a new left turn signal timing. Those are things that come out of that environmental review and are the things that are we often have conditions placed on a project for that. And then I see Maggie has a question, and then we can answer all the other stuff.
Okay, this falls under the category of all the other stuff. So
okay, great.
Should we move this later in the agenda? Okay, cool. I'm a board member and I live right on Walters, which I love. We've gotten letters from the city planning department saying that they're going to improve Walters in a number of ways. First of all, they asked if they could repave our driveway. Well, they did it. We were thrilled. That has yet to happen. I'm not making that up. I have the letter. So we're wondering what the improvements are going to be and what the timeline is going to be. Obviously, everything got pushed back.
Right.
So, but yeah, and also just as I'm sure you get this all the time, but as a plug, sometime in the future, if we could take up some of the city land space on either side of Walters and put in sidewalks.
Okay, so that's a public works question, and I will get you an answer for your next meeting. Are you close to 6th Avenue down by Titlow, or are you further up Walters?
I'm actually 2 houses away from 19th. Okay. I'm coming to you live from 2 houses away from 19th.
So through the miracles of the internet, I will find
That's right.
out. I don't. There is it's through the Streets Initiative, and I'm guessing it's Streets Initiative. It's not a sewer or water replacement. There
It is a streets thing. Yes, if I remember correctly. I took the letter. I do have the letter.
And that
signed
would
here.
explain the driveway issue. So I'll find out timing on that. I know the engineers who are in charge of that. Somewhere in the misty recesses of my mind, I remember talking to them about environmental review for it and whether or not they had to do it. But that's all I know. So I will get you details on Walter Road timing, and maybe if it's something you guys are interested in, I can talk to Public Works about just kind of a general, here's where we put our information and here's who to contact for you all. Or
for the board. Yeah, that would be
yeah,
great for
Ted
the regular
or Ted
meeting.
could do that. Hint, hint. Okay, I will
On
I
a
will write that down.
frivolous. Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. On a
Yeah.
frivolous note, can we have all of the apartment buildings on 6th Ave? Can we like pay for their electricity bill to have those gorgeous column lights? A couple of the new buildings have really cool column lights. Clearly, I'm not an architect, but it really dresses up that corner. And if we could just have them all the way down 6th Ave,
I will
that'd be great.
suggest that, or you, when you get the environmental review to comment it, you can put that under the aesthetic section. I've actually gotten that question on a couple buildings downtown, both the architectural lighting and then the LED lighting around the rooftop, which if it's not too bright, can be kind of cool. So I'll bring it up.
And I would think for safety too, right? Lighting for safety.
Thank you.
No.
Yes, having more light on that corner up
There
and
you
down
go.
6th would be really great.
It's just a nice ambient, however you want to say it, kind of thing. So
Sure.
good to hear.
Great. Well, thanks for that question, Maggie. Does anyone else have any questions for Shirley about the development in the West End? Shirley, what about parking on the Kmart? Was that, I know it was 2 steps above the back of the drawing, but is it parking included for the 400 or how is it a percentage of that?
To give you the really nerdy details, in the C2 district, every unit requires 1.25 parking stalls. But because it's on 6th Avenue and that has a really frequent, currently at least, has very frequent bus trips, they can get a 25% discount. So they may discount it. My experience is that with the garden style apartments, which is what they're looking at now, they generally provide more parking than 1 stall per unit. But right now they would at least be doing 1 stall per unit unless they had to unless they applied for a variance. It's still kind of early days to know that.
Sure. And is that a multi-use space as well with commercial on the bottom? And
It is currently not. So the code does allow for 100% residential. There's some specific setback and design and building standards because it's 6th Avenue, but not a commercial requirement like you see further west in the neighborhood mixed use district.
Sure. Sure. Okay. Well, great. Thank you so much for that information.
Yeah.
Very valuable. All right. Well, let's see. Moving on to our next. Oh, I'm sorry. Did anyone else questions for Shirley? I don't
I'm
see
going
it.
to put some stuff in the chat for y'all.
Thank you very much.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. All right. Let's see. Now we have Josh Jorgensen from the Tacoma Housing Authority and Kurt Asby, a local artist, presenting on an upcoming West End mural for James Center North. Thank you guys for joining us. And also Britt with the Tacoma Audubon. Thank you, 3.
Excellent. Thank you. And can everybody hear me okay?
You're a little low, Josh.
A little low. Excellent.
Yeah.
Sometimes that happens. Let me work on that and see if I can get it a little bit louder. I'll get us started off.
That sounds better.
Better. Okay. So last time I was here, we talked about the James Center redevelopment a lot. I won't go through a lot of that, but I will talk about this mural that we're working on and some of the activities associated with it this summer. Curtis, do you have the mural up by chance? I've got Google Street View too that I wanted to show the site with.
I don't have it up.
Okay,
currently.
I'll go ahead and share my screen then, if that's okay with you, Liz. It looks like it's disabled.
Hold on 1 second. I'm a little behind. All right, I just enabled it.
Excellent. Let's see that. And can everybody see that? So we have Mildred here, South Mildred, the entrance to James Center North, one of 3 entrances. And then we have Sushido, which is right here on the corner, and this big blank wall. We've been doing some landscaping recently and wanted to figure out how to activate this corner for a number of reasons. And then Curtis, I'll let him talk about the mural that he's working on a little bit, but this is the site. And then this is the mural that we're looking at putting on this site. And Curtis might have a mock-up that might be a little bit better for that, but at least that gives you some context as far as what James Center North, the area that we're talking about today is. And then I'll turn it over to Curtis to talk about the art a little bit, and then Britt will wrap us up with some of the activities. Sound good, Curtis? I'll leave this up unless you want to share your screen.
Nope, you can leave that up. If you
Okay.
can zoom out a little bit, maybe.
That is a good question. I don't know if I'll be able to. I think this is what we had before.
Okay. Yeah, well, thank you, Josh. So just so everybody knows, earlier this year, I was awarded funding from the Tacoma Arts Commission to create a mural here in Tacoma. And the goal of this mural is to engage the community and also highlight nature within the city. And I was originally on the Tacoma mural roster in 2016. So that's kind of where my experience started with working with the city with doing murals. And since then, I've specialized in painting murals with birds and geometric shapes and other elements that kind of signify a community space. And so basically this design here is something that I worked with Josh from Tacoma Housing Authority and Britt with the Tacoma Audubon Society to develop an idea that sort of works with the community, kind of represents the community in a sense, and also has that nature element. And so I have the geometric elements that kind of work with the THA's current project and their color palette, and then wetland birds that you can see in this area. And then, Josh, did you have anything else to?
Yeah, a couple items that we had talked about. There are some bushes there by the wall if we go back to this. And so figuring out how to incorporate the natural element, the actual bush part into it. I think Curtis did a great job with that. You can kind of see how those will affect it. And then also this is kind of the first stage in a larger branding effort for James Center North. We're looking at potentially renaming the site and then looking towards the future on what colors might be, style, all of that, like Curtis said, with that kind of more modern look for the property. One of the things that we heard in our outreach was about all the natural areas and natural amenities throughout the James Center North location, whether it's Lakeside Landing or the wetlands or Furcrest and University Place both have some really interesting elements that we wanted to not necessarily replicate on site, but be able to connect to. And so bringing in some of those themes into this mural was important based on the feedback that we got early on. Also, again, the geometry that Curtis talked about gives it more of a modern look. A lot of these are THA's secondary colors too, so it gives it that kind of consistency with some of the other properties that we have. And again, like we talked in the past, the redevelopment at James Center won't be predominantly THA-owned buildings, but we still wanted to have a high design bar, and we think that making it colorful is a part of that. Curtis, was there anything else too that we had talked about? I'm going back through some of our notes. One of the main goals that we've got today is one, to get feedback primarily with any concerns, if there's anything obvious that will be unacceptable for the West End neighborhood, and then also some positive feedback too, if there's things that you particularly like that we might replicate throughout the property, or if there's other things that we should look at, including too things that are particularly meaningful to the neighborhood. So with that, I'll turn it over. Curtis, any last comments before we open it up for questions and input?
I think that's it. I can drop a link in the chat to my website just so everyone can take a look at my previous work. I know sometimes the sketches don't quite do it justice, but it's a starting point.
No, that's a great idea. Thank you for that. And after we get comments, I'll turn it over to Britt too to talk about scheduling, and then I'll wrap it up. I mentioned that we are exploring potentially renaming the site, and I'll probably come back at a separate time to discuss that too. So
Well,
Liz, yeah,
thank you, Josh and Kurt. This mural will be absolutely beautiful, Kurt. I think the heron and the blackbird, I know when I haven't been to Chambers Bay in a while, but I remember going by and hearing the blackbirds sitting on the cat nine tails in the wetland areas, and it's just beautiful. And so I think this local presence, bringing, the local nature with the new development is really nice. And from what Josh has said in the past, the connection to nature and being strong for residents is really, really nice. Does anyone else have any comments for Josh and Kurt? No. Britt, do you have anything to add from the Tacoma Audubon?
Yeah, thank you. So I have not been to one of these meetings, so thank you for having us. I'm Britt McGrath. I'm the Education and Outreach Manager with Tacoma Audubon. We serve all of Pierce County. Our offices are actually located in University Place on Morrison Road. We have a park there that's a University Park Place. It's called Adriana Haas Wetland Park. And actually, if you were looking somewhere close to see Curtis's work in person, he did a mural on the side of our office building that is really beautiful and kind of works into the wetland and native habitat there as well. So if you want to take a look, our offices are unfortunately not open, but the park is open still. So our role in this project and with THA has been to help to activate the space in a positive way. And we work to connect people to nature in various ways. Something that we love about THA is that they also focus on connecting their residents and their community to nature. And we want to help in any way we can. And this space specifically, we feel like is kind of in the center of a pollinator and habitat corridor, such as the TCC wetlands, our space at Adriana Haas, the golf course even, and a bunch of other spaces around that area serves as kind of a corridor for animal habitat. So we're hoping that, and we enjoy that THA has plans to create and embrace the natural spaces in that area. And we want to stay on board in order to encourage that more. And Curtis obviously is a wonderful artist and does wonderful bird murals and bird art. So it seems like a great partnership. So our role is to kind of get some events scheduled around this, which currently are a little bit up in the air as far as what they might look like. But I will say in the summer, we will probably have some smaller events. A couple will be around nature journaling and potentially meeting the artists and then doing some nature journaling over at the TCC wetlands, which we're really interested in activating. One of our founding mothers, Thelma Gilmer, actually started working with kids over there back in the day when we first started. So we have a history tied to that space and we're really interested in keeping it as a wetland. And then we'll probably have some other bird walks that we host around there too. And all of that will kind of be tied into the mural process and then also the other nature around it. And then hopefully we'll have a larger kind of like unveiling at the end of September is our hope for that. Again, I'm not exactly sure what that'll look like, but that's kind of what we're going towards. And we're happy to be supportive of Curtis and of THA and Josh's efforts, and we love having them as partners. And come take a look and see what we're about, and come to our events if you hear about them.
Definitely. Well, thanks so much for that update. I didn't realize the THA offered am I saying it right? THA? No.
Yep. TAS, Tacoma Audubon, or THA, Tacoma
There we go.
Yeah.
THA and TAS.
There's a lot of acronyms there. Yeah.
Totally. Totally. We're talking city now with all the acronyms. But yeah, I didn't realize the Audubon offered so much. And so that's nice. Now, is the journaling all ages or is it
Yes. I would say, so we do education in all age ranges. And I would say for journaling, as long as someone can have the attention span and interest to do it, they are more than welcome. We have a lot of grandparents and parents and bring their kids along to these events. So creativity in nature.
Yes. Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, I personally cannot wait to see this mural. I think it's absolutely spectacular. You know, something else with, you know, beyond the geometric shapes. I love the straight lines, then also the circular, but when herons take flight, it's something else, you know, in itself. And so this is really beautiful to see the heron in that motion, So thank you so much, Kurt. This is going to be absolutely beautiful. Can't wait. And thank you to the three of you, Kurt, Josh, and Britt, for joining us tonight. And so now moving on to our next presenter, we have Ben Harris.
And Liz will be in touch too as additional info comes up. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Josh. Really appreciate it. We have Ben Harris, who's the Executive Director for the Tacoma-Pierce County Chaplaincy and the Program Director for the newly established Community Trauma Response Team. And so Ben will be giving us a brief presentation on the CTRT. Thanks for joining us, Ben.
Yeah, you bet. Thanks for the time this evening. Again, I'm Ben Harris. I'm the Executive Director for Tacoma-Pierce County Chaplaincy, and then I'm also the Program Director for this new program, the CTRT, or Community Trauma Response Team. So for any of you who might be familiar with chaplaincy, I can kind of sum this up by putting it this way. The Community Trauma Response Team is really doing the community-facing aspects of chaplaincy. If you're not familiar with chaplaincy, our organization has been around for 50 years now. This is our 50th anniversary. We were started in 1971, serving the first responders, police and fire throughout Pierce County. As a natural product of our service, a byproduct of that service to the agencies, we naturally end up serving members of the community in a lot of really tough moments: motor vehicle accidents and fatalities, suicides, homicides, overdoses, those types of situations. But this program, the CTRT, is opening up the opportunity to serve in that capacity to just about anyone in the community who wants to participate, not just those who are called to chaplaincy. Again, TPCC has been doing this for 50 years, so this just made us really kind of an ideal partner for the city to partner with in administering this program and training people to do this work. So I'll unpack that a little bit here for you guys really quickly. So again, we're going to be training people to go out and serve members of the community in traumatic events like the ones I mentioned before. If you've ever been involved in a situation like this, you know that these are chaotic and overwhelming times. And we found that there are usually three really urgent needs that people have in those situations. They need information. They don't understand often what's going on around them. So we help them understand what that is and get answers to their urgent questions. We help them connect to resources. Some people obviously have more resources than others, but for those who could use help in a particular area, we help connect them to resources that exist throughout the region to help them recover and build resilience in the community. And then I have to say, probably most importantly, we provide them with a need, or we meet the need for connection. We provide them with a person, that human resource, to be there solely focused on them. Again, our first responders often do a great job tending to people who are experiencing these situations, but they also have a role to fulfill, and sometimes that takes the focus off of these survivors and what they're needing and what they're experiencing. So this group will be trained to go out and meet those particular needs. The way we prepare people to do that is we will have an academy, a training academy. It'll be about 30 hours of training. We'll bring people up to speed on understanding the basics of psychological trauma and grief, mental health first aid, and understanding on-scene dynamics so they can operate safely on these scenes and know what's going on around them. Then we'll put them through a mentoring process. They'll be partnered up with one of our folks who have been doing this for quite some time, and it'll be approximately a 90-day mentoring process, and then they'll be ready to go out as a solo responder in the community. As far as who can join, it can really be, again, just about anybody who wants to make an impact in the lives of their neighbors. There are some requirements, obviously, because of this type of work. They're going to need their own reliable transportation and a clean driving record. They would need cell phone access. They'd have to be able to respond to locations throughout the city of Tacoma in approximately 20 minutes. So that confines it to primarily residents of the city of Tacoma, but people who live kind of on the outskirts of the city limits could also participate. There will be a pretty simple background check, but again, we're sending people into some pretty vulnerable moments. So we want to make sure we're sending people out to do this work competently, and they'll also have to pass a simple drug test. And then lastly, we're going to ask people to commit about 20 hours a month to be on standby, ready to respond once they've gone through the training. So anybody who's interested in this, for one, I appreciate the time to present this to you all. I want to make sure that, for one, the community knows about this program, knows that it's out there and it's operating and in fact expanding. And then also we're looking obviously for volunteers. I've been able to do this presentation a few times. We've already had quite a few applications come in, which is just awesome. So we're trying to build a really large but also very diverse team that really lines up well with the demographic of our city. And we're looking for volunteers. So I'll put my information in the chat, and I would just encourage you to share that with anybody who you think may want to know about this or possibly volunteer for the program. And with that, thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Ben. Yeah, I think that volunteer opportunity is so critical, like you said, especially, you know, coming out of a pandemic, and especially when people are scattered. Now, I know that a lot of our workforce, some were forced to retire because of COVID and whatnot. So is the older population, mature population, are they encouraged as well, retirees, to volunteer? Would there be, you know, other activities besides, you know, total all physical work, or would they have an opportunity as well?
Yeah, absolutely. The only challenge for people who want to join this team might be any limitations as far as mobility. The majority of the work is responding in the community, which of course involves operating out in the elements and operating on some uneven ground and all the rest. So as long as people are able to handle that, we'd love to have them join.
Great, great, thank you. Any questions for Ben? Well, thanks again for joining us, Ben. And you already put out your information in the chat, or you will do that? Oh, you just did. Perfect. Thank you so much. Good. I'm glad we have that. Great. Okay. Let's see. Now we have an update on the 6th Ave and Orchard Street Thames site. And so I have Brian down presenting, because I didn't think Destiny was going to be here, but I think Destiny's here too. So I'll let you both take that over. I'm not sure if you both chatted with each other.
Destiny couldn't attend the meeting, so I attended for her.
Oh, okay. I don't know who's logged on as her.
It was a pretty interesting meeting.
Okay.
The pastor of the church retired, and they have a new pastor coming in. Right now, the village is full. It has 60 residents. They just not too long ago had a couple families move out, and they've housed 14 families in the past month. They're reporting that they have and I'm not quite sure what this statistic means, but they're reporting that they have a 60% positive move out rate, which I interpret to be that 60% of the people that have lived there have been housed. But I don't know that for sure. And over the last month, they had 2 families reunited. They had 1 medical call. They had 0 calls for service from the police, and have had no calls for service to the police since the inception of the village. And they've started vaccination. So I believe most of the people there have had their first shot, and they'll be getting their second shot. I think that was today or yesterday. So the people that got the first shot will get their second shot yesterday. And they also have some test kits for COVID. They've started a couple gardens for veggies. And the choir director from the church is offering music lessons to the kids.
How nice is that?
So they do have some donation needs if anybody's of the mind. They need towels, 3X and 4X men's clothing. And they're also looking for someone that would like to help design and paint a mural. So if anybody's interested in that, they can contact the, I didn't really get the contact information, but they can contact Joe, who's the site manager.
We should have listened to Destiny's advice and moved this Thames presentation up with the liaison so Kurt could be on and listen to that call for a mural. It seems like he's definitely got the design aesthetic for it and the experience. So too bad, but hopefully that call will get out and get answered. It sounds like nothing but positive things from the Thames site.
Pretty much. Seems like a pretty positive program.
Great. That's wonderful news.
And even the people, there's a lot of people that attend those meetings that are just live in the neighborhood that were pretty skeptical, and they all seem to be pretty much won over.
Yeah. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Brian, for attending. And Destiny, I'm sorry I got that mixed up with attending the Thames meeting and this meeting. Sorry about that. So does anyone have any questions for Brian about the Thames site or Destiny? No. Well, thank you both. And now we have, thank you so much, Tammy, for hanging on with us. We have Tammy Harridge from the Antique Sandwich Shop as our West End Business Spotlight. Thank you for joining us tonight, Tammy. Would you like to give us a presentation about the Antique Sandwich Shop on Pearl?
Well, hello, everybody. I do recognize a few familiar faces in the crowd here. And well, let's see. We started in 1973 when I was 22 years old. And so that kind of lets you know where I'm at. And, we've been making, really great food the whole time. We cook our own turkeys, we cook our own meatloaf, corned beefs, and do all of our own baking for desserts and pies and cakes. And it's, just a pretty deep, neat community of people who come in there and support us, and people who work with us. It's like a big, gigantic family. So we'll be glad when we can do open mics again. We've been doing those since 1974, and every single Tuesday night at 7:30, except on Christmas or New Year's Eve or something. Those are the only times we don't do them, and they are really, really fun. And it's so amazing to see the talent that's local and people passing through, from doing other gigs will stop in on occasion. And so it's, that's really neat. My granddaughter was just at the Children's Museum in Olympia, and I was happy to hear that because they have a lot of toys out that kids can play with now. And that's one of the things that we really like, is we have a stage where our performances happen, but during the day we have toys for kids to play with so that parents can relax and have a cup of coffee and kids can be happy. So I'm really curious how they're pulling that off, with, so many little hands all over everything and in these times. So I'll be doing a little research into that. I'm not sure what else to say other than it's a neat place.
Oh my goodness. Well, I know probably everyone has visited your restaurant, Tammy. I think it's a staple in our West End community. I'm just so happy to see that you're still in good spirits and everything after COVID. I know how hard it has been.
Well, what's really hard right now is we're actually pretty darn busy on the weekends. It's been really challenging, and our big issue right now is we just don't have enough people to work. And some people have made changes in what they're doing, and it's like, so if anybody knows anybody who's looking for work, come on in, because
Sure.
we need help.
I'm sure. That's great. That's great news that you're looking to, not expand, but you're looking for employment. So, or employees. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Tammy. Thank you
You're welcome.
for being on with us this evening and then being such a staple in our community. It's wonderful. Well, great. So that brings us to open public comments or concerns. Do we have any issues or concerns that we want to talk about as a community, as a council tonight? I don't see any. Let me see the chat. Okay, that was Shirley. Okay, well then we always mention John Hines in his newsletter that's in our agenda if you want to sign up for that, to be also, besides these meetings, to be updated on his on what's going on in our community through his newsletter. And then also we're working on our West End Neighborhood Council bylaws. I'd like to sincerely thank Sean for volunteering a lot of his time to go through all of these bylaws and update them. Sean, do you have anything to share with the group on the bylaws and where they are?
Sure. Yeah, I'd also like to thank Brian and Sherry, Celine, who couldn't be here tonight, for helping out. So, yeah, we're going through the bylaws. There's not real major changes, but a lot of it is due to the virtual environment and just updating these bylaws to be modern with things like our PayPal account and that we can have meetings virtually, which was not in there before. So it's just kind of minor modernizing of them. So our plan is to have the board adopt those, the executive board adopt those in about 2 weeks, and then bring them back to the neighborhood council on June 17th, which is our next meeting for adoption, and then they'd be forwarded to the city.
Great. Well, wonderful. We will be sure to make motions then for those to be accepted once they're completed. Thank you so much for that update, Sean.
Welcome.
Great. Well, with that, do we have any comments or anything before we adjourn tonight? No. Well, thank you all. And it is, let's see, 7:41, and I'd like to adjourn this meeting. Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.